breaking news on 9 on your side.
Just some of the headlines we're following here for you this morning on Good Morning Tri-State, but that is the breaking news we're staying on top of. Good morning to you. I'm Chris Riva. Catherine is off today. The death toll has risen overnight in Texas. Rescue teams continue to struggle to cope with the massive flooding there following Hurricane Harvey. At least 5 people are now dead. That number could change as more rescue efforts continue this morning. The Kentucky woman who was convicted for the 2012 murder of her former boyfriend will be in court today. As Texas continues to get pounded with rain, the National Weather Service is now saying it's beyond anything ever experienced. They're measuring water in feet. Prosecutor Joe Dieter, Stu Matthews for the defense there in the opening statements. It lasted only about 50 minutes between the combination of the two yesterday. But before opening statements, as we are now joined by my colleague Ali Kramer, the jury made a visit off-site here, and it was to the scene itself. Good morning, Tri-State. Alongside Catherine Nero, I'm Chris Riva. As the Tri-State is celebrating the back-to-school season, we thought, why not? Let's do it ourselves. We're heading back to school as well for the second straight week. We are now at Dixie Heights High School.
Yeah, anytime I can buy extra school supplies, I'm good with that. So.
We've had plenty of opportunities to get a glimpse at Zac Efron this week. What, did you write that sentence? I mean, Catherine has had plenty of opportunities.
I'm on your side.
One of the other big changes this year is the team behind the visuals.
And that company is based in Over the Rhine, and they answer the question we have each and every year: how do they do that? Jennifer Ketchmark, our meteorologist, joins us now as you're taking a look not only at our forecast, but you're dealing with Harvey as well. What, another 15 to 25 inches they could expect from the storm in parts or wherever in Texas?
Houston specifically is around that 15-inch mark. And
the last couple of years, we've kind of featured a hidden gem inside Music Hall, the Music Library. It is the second largest asset outside of the CSO's endowment. It's insured for $10 million, and it has original works dating back to the 1800s.
You're watching Good Morning Tri-State at 6 on 9 on your side.
We're back now. 6:14 is our time. 64 degrees outside. Good morning, Tri-State. You may notice some bright yellow meters around downtown, but they're not for parking. New this morning, 9 on your side's Lisa Smith explains it's part of a plan to help Cincinnati's homeless.
Lisa Smith, 9 on your side.
I think it's a good idea, and here's where you can find the meters around downtown: Fountain Square, Wash Park, 12th and Vine, 6th and Walnut, and the banks. Now, the project is a collaboration between the city, 3CDC, and Downtown Cincinnati, Inc. Pretty smart idea there. Let's take a look at our forecast now. 9 First Warning meteorologist Jennifer Ketchmark's joining us. Here's a beautiful shot of the Big Mac Bridge into northern Kentucky. Right now, we're at a refreshing 64 degrees.
But a lot warmer than everything we saw over the weekend.
Let's come back to Ohio now, where Governor John Kasich is giving his opinion on Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio's presidential pardon. Arpaio actually had been convicted of knowingly ignoring a court order to stop detaining illegal immigrants, but was still awaiting a sentencing. Governor Kasich says that he also has the power to pardon people here in the state, but he says he makes sure the people have done proper restitution before he makes those types of decisions.
It's not the way.
More and more low-cost airline flights are now leaving and landing at CVG. That's thanks to Allegiant, Frontier, and now even WOW Air. But how much money do they really save you? 9 on your side consumer reporter John Matarese takes a closer look so you don't waste your money. Developing right now, an arson investigation is underway at Pleasant Ridge Church. Not one, but 2 separate fires inside different rooms there. It happened last night at All Saints Episcopal Church. Fire crews telling 9 on your side that a small paper fire, a series of them, were lit inside. The damage not extensive to the church. There is no word this morning on any arrests. Let's get back to the breaking news we have been following for days now. Hurricane Harvey has turned freeways and roads into rivers, and more rain is expected today. ABC's Natasha Barrett joining us once again live from Houston. Natasha, last hour you were talking about how eerily quiet it is where you're reporting you're near a road that is simply flooded. The city is underwater and people are struggling to evacuate this morning.
On 9 on your side.
We're back, 6:23, 64 degrees outside. Good morning, Tri-State. Once again, we go back to the breaking news we've been following all morning long, and that's the situation in Texas right now with the tremendous flooding in Houston. Gabrielle Enright works for WHIO in Dayton. She right now is embedded with Task Force 1 out of Ohio, predominantly out of Dayton, but we do have some individuals there from Cincinnati as well. She joins us live on the phone. So, Gabrielle, where are you right now, and what will your task be today to cover?
Well, we are in Katy, Texas. It's about
in Katy, Texas this morning. We were talking during the commercial break. Michael Benedict, one of our photographers, is part of Task Force 1 down there working in the rescue efforts. Please pass along our regards to all of their efforts there and stay safe throughout the morning.
Absolutely.
thank you so much for your time. Let's get over to Jennifer Ketchmark now, who has been tracking double duty, really, not only our forecast, which is really mild compared to what they're dealing with in Texas.
Exactly, and we will.
In a couple of hours, President Trump will actually head to Western Pennsylvania to talk about tax reform. He'll give a speech about taxes and the economy outside of Pittsburgh. That's where a high-stakes special election will happen in March. Voters will choose a candidate to replace Republican Congressman Tim Murphy, who resigned amid a sex scandal last October.
The grip that heroin has on our area is the headline that impacts our community every single day. You may remember the 6-day stretch at the end of August with 174 overdoses that killed 3 people in Hamilton County. Well, many of those deaths are not in vain. 9 on Your Side's Chris Riva explains how the heroin epidemic has actually helped organ donation. It's a story you'll see only on 9 on Your Side.
He wasn't a bad kid.
Kathy Cunningham still has a hard time.
He had a heart of gold.
Making sense of her son's death a little more than a year ago.
9 o'clock that night.
Travis.
In our bathroom.
Overdosed on heroin.
And I had no clue.
But he was an organ donor. His liver and kidneys gave the gift of life to 3 people.
I said, Trav, you're no longer known as a heroin addict. You are a hero. You are a hero. That's on his headstone.
Travis's story is not unique. In fact, it's a reflection of what's happening right now in the tri-state. 26%, more than a quarter of all donors in our area, die from a heroin overdose.
Dr. Kent Patton admits the ER at Bethesda North treats patients for heroin overdose every day.
Heroin is a central nervous system depressant. So basically, they go to sleep and they stop breathing, which then causes the organs to shut down.
The Life Center states typically surgeons only accept kidneys and a liver from a heroin addict. They admit their organs can be medically compromised, but can be life-saving at a critical time.
This epidemic it's not just affecting that person who has passed away, it's affecting their whole family.
Andy O'Malley from Life Center says organ donation is a silver lining to a horrible situation.
That's kind of changing the story of that addict, if you will. In some respects, I think they're leaving a legacy by, giving life to someone else.
Which is exactly how Kathy sees it.
Do you want to see these?
These letters
we stay in touch
are from the 3 people that received her son's organs.
And they're very thankful.
Trying to find the words of appreciation despite Kathy's loss.
I don't think of these people as strangers.
In Batavia, Chris Riva.
I'm very proud of him.
9 on Your Side. Sierra Pope lives in the moment. And right now it's this cab ride, and no one's sure where it'll stop.
Be safe. Text me if you need me. Okay.
She's homeless, a single mom who is 36 weeks pregnant.
As you shut that door, what's your biggest concern?
That she will not have somewhere to stay tonight. And she does have access to food, so that's one worry we don't have to worry about tonight.
This is part of the battle of infant mortality in the tri-state. And Crystal Denard from Tri-Health Ministries is on the front line.
Every day. And it's so many women out here that we don't get to touch.
Tri-Health Ministries is one of 5 groups working with Cradle Cincinnati to help combat the infant mortality problems here in the tri-state. They know collectively they help about 1,000 women each year. They also know there's another 3,000 that need their services.
My job is to teach them how to have a healthy pregnancy, how to get that baby here, and to get that baby at least to the first birthday.
It's not a simple answer as to why this is happening in our area, but experts know family planning, smoking, and making sure kids sleep on their backs once they're born are factors.
Another factor is nutrition, and the scenario that plays itself out often is you have a pregnant mom with the nearest grocery store about a mile away. With no transportation, they often head to the corner mart to get their groceries.
There's a huge need for these women. Not only do they face barriers such as transportation, health needs, nutritional needs, but we also have women that are homeless while they are pregnant.
Like Sierra Pope, who's using the help from Tri-Health Ministries to make sure that her child makes it to its first year. In Cincinnati, Chris Riva, 9 on Your Side.
Generally speaking, I hit the road at the same time every day.
It's 5:30 a.m. and Fraser Cunningham is already on the road.
I'm just a guy biking to work.
15 miles from his Pleasant Ridge home to his Westchester office for the GE engineer.
Pretty much every day for about 10 years.
His bike lit up like a Christmas tree.
I have the flag sticking out 3 feet with a blinky light.
And cameras on the front and back to video the ride.
I've seen an uptick in, let me say, aggressive behavior.
Close call after close call. Pickups buzzing from behind, to cars ignoring him in front. Hey! Even drivers that drive for a living get dangerously close, like box trucks, big rigs.
I can say that it is dangerous out there.
This school bus.
It's very dangerous.
Even the ice cream man seemed to ignore his safety.
The cyclist on a 15-pound bicycle, that's terrifying.
Edward Wimmer is the co-founder of Road ID, a tri-state company that makes ID bracelets for cyclists and runners.
Cyclists want their small piece of the road, motorists want their piece of the road, and we need to do a better job of acting like human beings.
A month ago, a national governor's report on bike safety was published. It states that accidents with adult cyclists are on the rise, like this one along Martin Luther King Boulevard in Clifton.
This one was accidental, but it was very typical of how these things kind of happen. The motorist behind him said, "This guy came out of nowhere." And it's like, no, he didn't come out of nowhere.
The report states the biggest solution to preventing accidents is education and awareness on both sides, not necessarily tickets and enforcement.
Are we going to measure success by how many tickets were written? No, I think it's the biggest help of the 3-foot laws in education.
The governor's report clearly states a motorist tends to hit a cyclist because they never saw him in the roadway to begin with. On the flip side, bikers admit to seeing cars almost every time. They just assume that the driver will give them the right of way. The report issues how critical it is for both sides to stay alert when it comes to sharing the road.
If you're going to ride your bike on the road, we tell people, look, once you cross the white line, you're in the game. And you got to play by the rules.
I think this is the most important thing that as a motorist we need to do, is to realize that thing, that bicycle with a person on it, is no thing at all. That's a person.
Cunningham says respecting riders
I don't mean anyone any harm.
and drivers
I hope that they can be nice to me.
is the key to sharing the road.
And everyone can be happy and live together.
In Cincinnati, Chris Riva, 9 on your side.